let's have a real conversation today. A conversation about something that happens under the radar, especially in spaces that are supposed to be all about uplifting women and making us feel beautiful. We're talking about pretty girl privilege, but specifically the uglier side of it that nobody wants to admit exists, the pretty girl tax. Now, I know you guys are going to say, what do you mean by pretty girl tax? Okay. We always hear about the perks, the free coffee, the extra attention, the doors magically swinging open. And sure, those things happen, but we rarely talk about the other side of that coin, the automatic assumption that if you are done up, if you take your time on your hair, your makeup, your outfit, you are somehow the opposition. I have seen it and felt it so many times, but there was one specific night that broke me. A night that made me realize that sometimes looking your best makes you a walking trigger for a very specific kind of undercover hostility. It's the gatekeeping you experience in the very places that exist to sell you beauty. Today, I'm going to share my story, but most importantly, we're going to dissect why this happens and why people are jealous of you. Also, how you can spot this energy before it ruins the vibe. So when you walk into a space like a salon, a nail shop, or a spa, we are literally the target demographic. We are people who have proven we value aesthetics and are willing to pay for it. You think that we'll be welcomed with open arms by default. But there is a specific friction point that occurs when personal presentation is perceived as intimidating or over the top by people who work there. It creates this silent competition, a competitive street that doesn't exist anywhere else. So I call that pretty girl tax, and it's usually leveled in three subtle ways. So what the number one way is passive aggressive gatekeeping. When services are mysteriously unavailable for you, but they're ready for others. 2, the assumption of high maintenance. They decide your service is going to be difficult or stressful before you even open your mouth. 3, the hostile service. The technique is there, but the attitude is designed to humble you. And before you guys start chatting, this isn't about me thinking that I'm better than anyone. This is about feeling that shift in energy when you enter a room purely based on your look. All right, so sit down for this because this situation had me feel like I was losing my mind. So this was a little while ago. I had been working all day, but I was fully done. I had my hair laid, full makeup on, the whole 9 yards. Why? Because I was heading to an event afterwards, but my eyebrows were tragic. They looked terrible. It was emergency maintenance. It was exactly 2 hours before most salons in the area closed. 2 hours, y'all. To any esthetician or technician watching, you know a quick eyebrow wax takes 10 minutes max. I walk into the first nail spa place. It's bustling, but not packed. I see empty chairs. I go to the desk. Hi, can I get a quick eyebrow wax? The receptionist looks me up and down thoroughly and then gives me this flat look. Sorry, we're done for the night, fully booked. I look behind her. No one is in the wax room. I just nod and leave. Okay, weird. Maybe they are booked. I go to the second shop, smaller. They look open. I walk in, same thing. Can I just get brows? The technician looks at me and I see this flicker of hostility. No, close soon. At this point, I'm desperate. I go to a third shop. This one is pretty much empty. There is literally one person in a pedicure chair. I ask again. This tech looks me in the eye, sighs dramatically, and just shakes her head, no, fully booked. Y'all, at this point, I'm extremely frustrated, but I'm also confused. Like, is there a full moon I didn't know about? But here's the kicker. As I was walking out of that third shop, which was too busy, I watched someone else walked in. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys about what I observed because it's crucial to this analysis. The woman who walked in was wearing sweats, her hair tied up, she was casual, didn't have a stitch of makeup on. No shade, because we love a cozy day. But the second she asked for a service, a full pedicure, mind you, which takes longer, they greeted her, pulled her out, a cheer for her, right? In that moment, it clicked. It wasn't about time. It was about who they were willing to serve. Also, I was with my man at the time, and he even offered to pay double the service if they could just take me for 5 minutes. They still said no. They saw me as the pretty girl, and in their minds, they translated that as difficult, demanding, or perhaps they just didn't like that I was looking better than they were. They were actively gatekeeping a 10-minute service for me, but were happy to spend an hour on someone they perceived as non-threatening or less high maintenance. Finally, I found a fourth shop. It's now like 8:15 p.m. They're closing at 9 o'clock. I walk in and ask. The technician nods. So I'm thinking like, wow, thank you. Like, praise the Lord. She points back to the wax room. I should have known by the vibe. She walks into the back. She doesn't say hi. She doesn't ask me how I want him. She just gestures me to sit down. And then it starts. She's ripping the wax off my face. Like she's trying to punish me for coming in at 8:15. There was no gentle application. It was sloppy. It was painful. Like every single pull felt personal. I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, like this is so painful. And I'm also like in disbelief. I'm thinking like, is she doing this on purpose? Like she didn't check if the wax was too hot. She didn't pluck the strays gently. She was like attacking my freaking brows. I had to say something like, wait, you're hurting me. She just looks at me and huff like it's wax, it hurts, no apology, no change in technique. So at that point, I had to be the difficult woman of color. I had to. I got up before she even did the cooling gel or checked them. I told her, I'm done. Like, I'll pay you for what you did, but I'm leaving. I paid her. I didn't give her a tip. And I walked out. I was like shaking. I was so upset. My skin was really bright red. And it stayed tender for days. So this wasn't like a beauty service. It was aggression. It was the feeling of someone like trying to take down a peg by being brutal during a service that you're paying for, y'all. So it had me thinking, why does this happen? We need to look at the psychology of it. This isn't a simple case of they're just mean people. This is systematic. When you analyze pretty girl privilege, you have to understand that privilege often comes or creates a power dynamic that other women can feel threatening, especially in a service-oriented environment. This is also why I've started to become a DIY girly. Like, I'm starting to do my nails at home. I do my toes at home. I haven't mastered the eyebrows yet, but once I get the eyebrows done, I probably won't even be going into service to get those done either. Like, I'm already starting like my nail kit. I have a makeup kit. I have everything that I'm learning to do on my own just because, like, I don't want to deal with the cattiness or, them being unprofessional or, like, for example, Eric Tate. Everyone loves Eric Tate. And it's no shade to him. Like, I think he's a great stylist, but I've noticed from his work that I see on TikTok and from the reviews that he does, like, quote unquote, regular girls' hair regular. Like, he doesn't style it. It doesn't look fabulous. It definitely doesn't give you the airy look. It doesn't give you the airy hair. And, it's like he treats certain people a certain way based on their status. And you can tell within his work. And that's kind of how, like, women are too. Like, they won't do your hair a certain way or they won't do your makeup a certain way. But they'll do a celebrity and a status person like that. And they only do that because of their status. Because if they were a regular person looking as good as they look, they will probably get the same treatment that we get, right? And so, like, they have like this kind of humble impulse. So some people, when confronted with that, they perceive as superior beauty or confidence, feel an unconscious impulse to humble that person, denying service, being aggressive, or treating them like an inconvenience as a way to exert power and temporarily reverse the hierarchy. Two, the assumption of difficulty. Many people working in service assume that women who prioritize high level presentation are inherently demanding, entitled, are going to complain. So they reject the service not because they're fully booked, but because they have mentally categorized you as a hassle before you have even made a request. Three is going to be projection. So the resentment you experience in a salon, it often has little to do with you and everything to do with the technician's own relationship with beauty, society, standards, and confidence. You aren't an individual. You are a mirror reflecting their own insecurities. So this gatekeeping is very real. Looking good takes resources, time, money, effort, and sometimes people respond to that investment with immediate silent resentment. It's frustrating because beauty spaces are supposed to be our safe haven as a woman. They're supposed to be where we uplift each other and celebrate the effort it takes to look and feel our best. So dealing with this kind of undercover hostility when you're already investing your own energy and money into your look, it's a tax that we shouldn't have to pay. But I know I'm not the only one who has experienced that moment when the energy in a salon shifts the second you walk in the door looking good. Have you ever felt like you were being vetted instead of welcomed? Or have you noticed that when you go in casual, the service is different than when you go in done up? I want to hear the stories in the comments below. Let's create some solidarity because this is a weirdly common phenomenon that nobody talks about. Give this video a like if you related and subscribe to join the family. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.